And we're back. Welcome back to the Brave Podcast. That was really weird how I said back twice, back to back. My name is Angelo, aka Exploring with Angelo here on YouTube. You usually find me out hunting ghosts, going to strange places, abandoned locations, and doing all sorts of weird, crazy, wacky stuff. Today we have a very interesting episode. I was actually driving down the road and I saw this guy in a very bright red shirt. He was hitchhiking and he said, I will give $10 to whoever picks me up and brings me to wherever I want to go. And I pulled over and he hopped in the car and now we're here. He's going to actually be the guest on the show. That's obviously a joke. He's a friend of ours. But before we get to him, let me introduce my co-host, Moshi.
Hey everyone, Moshi. I'm Mohammed. Today, I'm really excited to be talking with this gentleman who I'm going to learn a lot from. But before that, remember, we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Rumble. Rumble's where you get the juicy stuff later after the main episode. So today, I welcome and introduce a new friend. Hey, Deo, welcome here to us, to our show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks
Welcome.
for having me.
Yeah. So how's it going, Deo? Tell everybody what you do, a little bit about yourself, and why you're here.
Okay, so again, I go by DEYOCLUB. And
Let's try and bring the mic a little closer.
Oh,
to you.
let me bring it a little bit closer.
Gotta speak into
Is
it.
better?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
So things are going good. I appreciate you picking me up on the side of the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that you're not supposed to pick up hitchhikers, but
Why not?
You gotta take risks sometimes, man.
Absolutely. So I'm kind of glad I did pick him up because he does something very interesting. What he does is known as scam baiting. That's what you would refer to it as, right? So basically he baits scammers more or less for a living, creates content out of it. You can check out his channel, DEYOCLUB on YouTube, and you're also on Twitter and wherever else you're at, right?
Pretty much every platform.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm on Rumble, to be honest. But
okay.
Pretty much everywhere. I'm DEYOCLUB.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on there. So
yeah, pretty cool. How did tell us? How did it start? Like, what was where did it come up for you? Did you like see somebody else doing it and you're like, hey, I could do that?
The actual scam baiting itself.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an interesting thing, but someone I knew was being catfished.
Wow.
And it was just interesting to see how we were having the conversation with them saying, hey, like, this person is not real, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, we're going to get married. They're going to be coming over. Right now, they're just stuck somewhere. And we were like, no, this is... Anyways, we found the picture of the person that they were impersonating. We found the real account. And we kind of brought it to their attention. And it was like the heartbreak that you could see was... I don't know how to describe it, but just seeing someone literally think that they're going to marry someone online like that was it just blew me away. And so from then on, my investigative juices kind of started flowing, and I was like, man, there's got to be a way to get back at these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But these email scams or romance scams, they take a little bit longer. They're more of a longer game. You have to kind of email back and forth, pretend like also your webcam is broken just like they do, so that they can't really see you. And so it wasn't necessarily that, but how I got into scam baiting, when I'm like the people who call you and bug you and say you have a charge from Amazon when you don't really have a charge. That happened when I was listening through this app called Stingray. I was listening to this radio station, and they basically had said, hey, these CRA scammers are calling us, and this is their number. Call them and let us know how it goes. And so I did, and the guy swore at me like crazy. And so I called the radio station back and was like, they went nuts. They went ballistic. I said, probably because like I was doing a voice and an accent. And they're like, wait, you do voices and accents?
And for those of you that don't know what the CRA is, because a lot of you guys are from either the US or the UK or anywhere else around the world, the CRA in Canada is known as the Canada Revenue Agency, basically similar to the IRS, deals with, taxes and so on and so forth. But yeah, continue.
Yeah. And so there was nobody really focusing on CRA scams, the Canada Revenue Agency scams. And so me being based out of Canada, I was like, you know what? I see people calling scammers in the US pretending to be the IRS. I'm like, I want to focus on protecting Canadians. And so that's all I was doing. Like the first year or so on my channel, it was just CRA calls. That's all it was. And so that's kind of how the ball got rolling. I ended up doing a call on the radio. And then I just kind of like got hooked and started watching. I didn't realize it was a thing. And so I started looking it up online. and seeing that there were people who were calling scammers, baiting them, and then it was lots of fun. And I'm like, man, if I can be stupid with these guys, like I'm in, you know what I mean? And like help protect people, be stupid,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I'm down. So that's kind of how I got the ball rolling on
So
that.
you're saying you're protecting people. Is that because, so you're doing this, are you taking a call away from them calling somebody else? You think you're stopping them from doing future calls? Or you're informing the people that are watching maybe your videos and that stuff. That's what it is.
It could be like a combination of all those things, right?
Right.
So if they're talking to me, that means they're not talking to a legit potential victim,
Sure.
right? They think I'm the legit potential victim. So that's time away that they're away from a real victim. 2 is I could potentially, if I try not to reveal that I've been baiting them just so it doesn't make them smarter.
Right.
But ideally, if I do have like a heart to heart with one of these scammers, you know, I do tell them, you know, your parents probably aren't proud of what you're doing. You know, like I use those kind of like push points, right? You know, it's like real
As it turns out, their dad is literally a scammer themselves.
Oh no, they'll freaking take off their slipper and hit them in the head, right?
For sure.
and so in that sense, potentially they could not necessarily make more calls. It's usually not the case, so it's very hard to find someone to turn face, I guess you could say. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, these people are getting people on the phone stealing money away from them, and so if I'm able to protect them that way, then cool. And you know, I find like people sometimes learn through it, like humor,
Sure.
right? And so if I can make people laugh, give them a little bit something that might be memorable, then cool, and they're good. So
Definitely.
Yeah, it was years ago. I remember I did a couple of videos actually of there was one that was the CRA scam. I don't even remember what happened, but they always pretend to be Officer Garrett Hewlett with badge number whatever, and then it's the same thing. And to some people they can sound pretty legit because let's be realistic here, a lot of foreigners work at the CRA, so when you do call, you will often speak to somebody with an accent, so most people probably wouldn't know the difference. So it's actually a good thing that, like, you know, what you're doing, informing people and teach people how they do things. The other one I remember that was very popular was the Microsoft scammers. If you remember those back in the day, they would tell you have a problem with your computer, you've been hacked, whatever, and they're basically trying to gain remote access to your computer. And I remembered I was on the phone with this dude. I'm literally just sitting in the garage having a cigarette, and I'm on the phone because I had nothing better to do that night. So I'm just sitting on the phone, and I'm telling this dude that, yeah, I'm accessing my computer. Let me just put my tinfoil hat on. And he was going along with it for a while, right? So I was like making up this random story that I have a tinfoil hat, and it's got these wires that connect to the computer, and I just use my brain to access the computer. And he was just going along. And then after, you know, about 15, 20 minutes, then he realized what was happening. And I'm like, gotcha.
you gave me Jim Carrey vibes from when he was playing the Riddler.
Yeah.
When he was trying to like figure all that kind of stuff out. Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically the concept that I had given him. There was another one that was, I don't remember what it was. I think it might have just been a duct cleaning person. For some reason, it was the same thing. I was just driving down the 401 one day, and I just had nothing better to do. And she was trying to sell me on duct cleaning. And I'm just like, I gave her a random address in like a area that I knew that just had normal houses. And she's like, oh, how many square feet is your house? And I'm like, 15,000. She's like, oh. And then I think she looked up the address. Yeah. She's like, because there's no way, right? So she looks up the address. She's like, oh, it just looks like a normal residential neighborhood. And then I told her, I'm like, yeah, I bought 15 homes and I tore them all down and I built one giant house. She's like, how many furnaces do you have? I'm like, I think there's about 12, right? So, and then she's just started finally realizing what was happening. I'm like, listen, lady, I'm just messing around with you. It was either this joke or the ducks clean themselves, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, those scams are all still around though. Like the tech support scams.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, the whole trying to connect to you. It's not even your computers anymore. Now it's to your devices. They want to gain access to your phones. They leave like untraceable ways where they connect to your stuff, so they can still access your stuff, and you don't even know that they're on your phone.
Okay.
I've seen scammers. Like I've connected to scammers who are connected to a victim, and I can see what the scammer is seeing on the victim's phone.
What?
Yeah.
Now, how would that work? So you're like hacking into like their webcam or something?
No. There's I can't necessarily say the ways.
Yeah, don't go into too much detail, but just be vague about it.
There's I work with like a team of people who are able to do that kind of stuff, and then they say to me, hey, you know, here's what we're looking at, what we're finding. See if you can protect a potential victim from being scammed. And so, you know, you're seeing that you contacting those people and saying like, hey, excuse me, sir, ma'am, do you have this device or this app on your phone? You need to remove it right now. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? It kind of throws people off though, because you know they don't know why you're calling, so you kind of have to try to build that rapport with them. Just like the scammers, it's funny how people are. They give scammers like access to their stuff almost fairly easily, but when someone's calling to warn them about them being scammed, they're like, well, I don't know, a little hesitant, you know. And it's like, I wish you would have been like this with the scammer.
Yeah, exactly, you know, exactly. Actually, funny that you said that, because I remember there was a scam going on eBay a while ago, and what they were doing, because I used to sell sporting goods, so I would list stuff pretty often on eBay, and obviously people would just, you know, buy and whatever. So what they were doing was, I guess they would steal people's credit card information and then all their personal information. What they were doing was they would make an order on eBay and then suddenly message the seller, and I think they were targeting basically like noob sellers, like people who really didn't have a lot of experience. And what they were doing is they would make an order and they would contact you and be like, hey, listen, I just moved, or I'm not at this address right now. I won't be there for like 3 months, or I've moved to this address and I forgot to change it in my thing. Can you send it to this address? And little did they know is I've got like, you know, at the time, like, you know, 10, 15 years experience on eBay already. So I said, nope, it only goes to the registered address. At the time, eBay was only using PayPal. So it only goes to the registered address, right? If you want me to change it, you got to change your stuff. I will cancel the order, and then you can resubmit a new order. And I did the same thing. I would call the customer and be like, hey, did you happen to make this order? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, well, just to let you know, somebody's using your credit card information. They just ordered a pair of skates. And they're like, what the hell? I live in Arkansas. We don't skate out here, right? And they're like, how can I trust you? I'm like, well, you don't have to trust me. Just call your credit card company. Otherwise, you're going to pay me $250 for a pair of skates that's not even going to you, right? So, yeah, it was kind of like the same thing. You'd have to explain to them, like, listen, I run a legitimate company. I'm just trying to help you right now. So stop being a dick, right? But yeah, it's crazy sometimes what you have to go through.
We're always like, we're not going to ask you for any money.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we're not calling to say, hey, pay us this much to get them off your computer. It's like, we're letting you know they're on your computer.
Right.
Take it into like a tech shop, you know, a computer shop and tech shop. What the heck is that? Take it into a computer shop and get it looked at.
Tech Squad.
Yeah.
So how long has it been now since you've been doing this?
Since 2018.
2018. So that's 5 years already.
Yeah.
So
5
you enjoy
years this
it,
past
obviously.
June. Yeah.
You do it all like pretty much full time almost?
No, I wouldn't say pretty much full time, but like I
you do a
good
lot
amount.
though.
Yeah.
So you've been kind of like getting connected with other YouTubers and stuff now too, like a lot of the bigger dudes, right?
Yeah.
So because I know it's cool, because what I've been noticing with you is that you're kind of building like this whole community, right? So there's like a whole group of you now and you've been kind of on that since you started, because I remember back when I used to watch your videos, back when I actually had time to watch people's videos, that you were always like, you would do a live stream and then you were communicating with all these other people and they were all kind of doing the same thing, whether they were recording themselves or not.
Right.
They would just kind of do the same thing. It was really neat to see how there was like this whole community of people who, like, how did that start? Did they all just watch your videos and they all just started doing it too?
Well, it's kind of interesting. So again, when I had no idea this was even a thing, right? So I started searching on YouTube. I'm like scam pranks or something, right? And this dude popped up. His name was Joe Scam Bait. And so I started watching him. And this dude, he's an American guy who knew how to speak certain words in Hindi, and he knew about certain parts of India. And he would be able to like connect with the scammers that way and tell them like, you know, oh, by your accent, I can tell you're from this part of India. And I'm like, how the hell? You know what I mean? I mean, I'm from Toronto, and I mean, there's a lot of Indian people here. I can't dictate and say, okay, well, I know this particular accent's from a particular region.
Right.
But he was able to do that kind of stuff. And so I started watching him, and then he had a live stream, and I went into the live stream and I saw all these people commenting. And so I would say like, hey, everyone, like, I'm kind of new to this thing. And so then they started checking out my channel. And then I realized, oh, there's like a bunch of people in here that are doing that kind of thing as well. And so it started with like a lot of the smaller, tighter knit kind of channels. And then you have like the bigger channels who, they don't. I don't want to say they don't mingle with the common folk.
Yeah.
But they're just they're just busier.
Yeah,
So they're doing their own thing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
I
so,
mean, for them, they probably all do it like full time as
Yeah.
like a job, career, business sort of thing. They probably got people working around them and stuff. How big are these operations that are scamming people?
really big.
Really big? Like,
Yeah.
like they got, because I remember we were talking about it a while ago and you were mentioning there's like a main center and then they have all these random call centers or whatever, right?
Yeah. So sometimes there's like a boss and they have their one call center, but sometimes they'll allow some of their employees to also work remotely. And a lot of these people actually get into the scamming without knowing that it's a scam call center to begin with. They just see it as an opportunity to work in a call center. And then later on they realize, oh, like this is a scam call center. Now some of them are excited about the potential of the money that they can make, and some of them say, I don't want to be here, I'm only going to do this for like another month or two and then I'm out of here, right? But yeah, it's a pretty organized crime kind of endeavor, I guess, that they carry out.
Yeah. Where are the most common places these days for these types of scams?
Okay, so
like where they're running their operations from?
So scams, there's no one place in particular that is like where scams originate from. There's scammers here in Canada, there's scammer in the States. I think the challenge with scams is it depends on the type of scam. Like your tech support refund type of scam originates in India, right? Your romance scam, that kind of stuff originates normally in some part, like different parts of Africa, here in Canada, the Philippines, Australia, Dubai, right? And then you've got like your crypto investment type of scams, which are a lot of them happen from like Dubai, Israel, Europe, and other like Pakistan and different places like that. So it just depends on the scam. There isn't one particular place where you could be like all scammers are from there, because they're not.
Yeah. I've kind of found that from personal experience. I can't go into too many details, but somebody that I know was involved in a romance scam. It was like you said, like trying to explain to them that you'd have to do months and months worth of digging to be able to prove every little thing. And it was kind of funny too, because it was like no matter what you found or how you explained it, the person still never believed you. And this person could be your best friend. Like they could have known you for like 20 something years, right? And it's just sad to see, because you have a lot of people who they're lonely, right? Everybody wants love or to be loved, right? And I feel for these people. I felt really bad for my friend, but it is what it is at the end of the day. And it's kind of crazy too, just how advanced it gets, because it looks like now they're starting to use, artificial intelligence, whether they're faking voices or they legitimately have somebody from a certain country, so they have a certain accent, whether it be, UK, Greenland, Australia, New Zealand, whatever it might be, right? So, and it's kind of hard to dictate, like, are all these people around the world and they're all connected and they're all just full of shit, right? At the end of the day. So what is the most common romance scam now?
The most common romance scam is your general catfish. Which is, someone reaches out. So what they do is, there's a term called social engineering. Right. I think that if people like studied what social engineering means, they would really start to understand how to better protect themselves online. But, someone is maybe posting stuff online. If you have a Facebook profile that's public, right, and anybody can find it, that's what these guys are looking for. They're looking for people who are lonely, like you said, people who maybe just went through a tragedy or are having a hard time or are struggling some kind of way, and then they give you the attention. They'll message you like, hey, I hope you're doing well, blah, blah, blah. I noticed, and they'll kind of like build that rapport with you. And that's kind of where it starts. Someone's paying attention to you. You say, oh, okay, I'm not getting this attention from like my husband or my wife. Like, let me carry this on and kind of see how this friendship develops. And it just kind of gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And sometimes these guys are in it for like the long game. They have multiple people on the go. So when they come to you,
Right.
you know, you're not the only one they're talking to. They're talking to like 10, 15 people at a time. And so they're not they're in different processes with each person in the scam. So with you, they might start off today, but they've been talking to Angelo for like the last 8 months.
Right.
So with him, he's already sending money. With you, I'm building that rapport. I'm not going to ask you for money for another 3 or 4 months.
Right.
Right? Just to build that trust.
Yeah.
And so those are like the very dangerous ones. And I think just people need to, it sounds kind of weird because it's almost counterintuitive. It's social media, but you kind of need to like lock your stuff down. Don't make your profile public. Don't make your friends public. All that kind of stuff for all your social media platforms, unless you know you don't care about that stuff. And if you have loved ones in your life that could potentially fall for that kind of stuff, like you need to really be vigilant and try to like help them understand. Hey, I know that you use Facebook to talk with family. Keep it to family, like things like that, right? Anytime a scammer says, hey, let's go to WhatsApp, that's a big red flag right there, right? Like I'm talking freaking red card, like you're out of the game. You know what I mean? Like that is straight up a scam. Like let's move to WhatsApp. No legit person, real friend person like that is going to say, let's talk on WhatsApp. Nobody. No business is going to say, hey, DM us on WhatsApp. You know what I mean? That's not how it works. Right? So little things like that people can, especially the romance scams, that's kind of like what they're really looking at.
I guess because they want to find you on one platform and they want to pull you to another. Right? So that way it's not really like monitored, so to say. Wow, that's crazy. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's very strange, like the lengths these guys go through. But I mean, I guess depending on where they're coming from, how much they're making. Like, have you ever communicated with like a victim who finally realized that they were involved in a romance scam before? How did that go? Like, you don't have to divulge details.
For sure. It's actually one of this is one of the videos where I was telling you before about the demonetization thing. This is the video where it happened on here. But basically this person, I basically just asked, if anyone has any experience being a victim of a scam, please let me know. I would love to interview you and see kind of how you could tell your story. Because oftentimes people are embarrassed. People feel shame. There's a guilt aspect to it too, and so they don't necessarily come forward because of that. They don't want their family to know that they were involved in that, or their loved ones to know, close friends. So they're very heavily guarded, which is, again, it's interesting that they're heavily guarded after the fact. But before the fact, it was like,
here's all my info, or here's all my money.
Or sometimes like you give that information willingly too, just based on when they fish that information out of you. But she went on and said she sent this guy, I think, a total of like 40 or 50 grand.
Oh, wow, man.
That's crazy.
Right. I mean, that'll kill some families, right? As far as the amount of money that they're
that's
shelling out.
That's
and so it started with like he needs help with he got into an accident, or there's always some kind of travesty that happens. My dog needs an operation, right? Things like that. And she just kind of went on and said, I didn't really realize that it was happening until it just kept happening. Right. And then it was like, like this can't be, and I'm coming to your city, but then they never show up. Or there's always a reason why they don't end up showing
emergency or whatever it might be.
And I mean, it's devastating hearing those stories. Just you can hear it in their voice. You can feel it's like it's palpable guilt and shame. But their story, there's such powerful stories. I really wish people would share them more, because it would really help a lot of other people be like coming forward. And you can't really arrest someone like that if there's no victim coming forward. Like I can pretend to be a victim, but no crime has been committed. There's no exchange of money that's actually happened. So when you go to rob a bank, let's say you fail and you don't rob the bank, that's called attempted robbery. But there's no attempted phishing thing. There's no crime there, right? So there should be, but there isn't. And so the law enforcement is just kind of like,
can't do anything.
So it's specifically talking about that law enforcement, and is there a way, if these things are international, for these people to be to pay for their crimes? So for example, the one that you spoke about, if that person had come forward, could they have gone to whatever their local police is or agency is, even if that person who was scamming them was out of the country? Is there what could people do if they were scammed and
Okay.
they wanted to come forward?
Beautiful. So one is, I always tell people, go file a police report with your local law enforcement. One, because if they were using you, for example, to launder money, that's a crime that you're guilty of. So you want to go and like let the police know, like, hey, just so you know, if this is happening, this is because I've been tricked. I've been I've been accused of being a money mule or anything like that. But more importantly, so that they know that you've lost money. There's a record of it.
Yeah.
And then the FBI has a form. It's ic3.gov, and you go on there if you're in the States. In Canada, we have the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center that you can go and you can fill out they have like a form there that you could fill out that you've been scammed. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, okay, we're going to go arrest this guy now. But what that does is it allows you to be able to follow up and be like that squeaky wheel and eventually see if there's a way that the Canadian government or the American government or wherever you've been scammed can communicate with that government or the law enforcement from that particular country. And boom. Like I've been posting this guy, I don't know if you've seen on my Twitter, I've been posting this grant scammer, right? He's told me I was going to win
the
grant.
Nigerian guy?
Yeah. He told me I was going to win a grant. I had him on the hook for over a year, right? It was like 18, 19 months.
This one?
Yeah, that dude right there.
Yeah. So
Olanukin.
it says this is Olanukin, a Nigerian scammer that went by Mr. Beckham.
Mr. Beckham.
Harrison Beckham. He has stolen money from so many Americans. He's located in the Ogun area and frequents Lagos, at least last I know of. So please, at official, what's EFCC? Is that their local enforcement
The
agency?
it's from Nigeria.
Yeah. Has this have they done anything about this guy in particular?
Not that I know of. That's why I
No?
keep posting his picture.
Yeah.
Right.
So just keep repetitively doing it over and over and over. If they actually do
So
something.
I played 2 characters with this guy for like 2 years. I played Gary, the old man. Yes, hello, son. How are you doing today? Right. And so they like that. They like the older people. Right. And then I said, can my son qualify for the grant? And so then I was just myself. Right. And so at 2 points. And then because it was during COVID, I said, my father died because of COVID. Oof. And so just to get the old man out of the picture, and then it was all on the young man. And that young man, situation, what I was doing there was just kind of egging him on. And so I got him to actually do 5 Zoom calls with me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we did 5 Zoom calls and he came on video. So every time that I got him on video, like I'm just taking little clips of, my video chats with him and posting him on Twitter.
Wow.
Right. Till they see what he looks like. You know what I mean? Like, yo, arrest this guy. Like I saw, I was able to access his, he let me connect to his phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Right. And I was able to like download the information that he had on his phone of potential victims. And we contacted those people. Right. So it was like.
So these would have been like people he's already been kind of following up over and over with, right? They're already kind of falling in for it.
He had someone's like IRS, like their tax filing.
Damn.
I was like, what the freak?
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. So for you personally, would you consider this a dangerous career for yourself? Like, are there a lot of precautions that you probably have to take just to make sure that nothing bad happens to you?
Yeah, of course.
Is it like, are we talking like some seriously scary people?
Yeah,
I remember
bro.
you were telling me some stories. I don't want to go into too many details, but it sounds like some pretty shady stuff, because a lot of people don't realize like there's a lot of the stuff is happening here locally, whether in Canada, United States, or whatever. Like there could literally be a call center, like somebody's next door neighbor, right? Could be connected to these people somehow. So that's kind of a scary thought.
It can definitely be dangerous. There is a lot of organized crime behind all these rings, and so it's pretty brutal.
Yeah. What is the highest amount of money that that's been stolen from somebody?
The highest amount that I've seen stolen. I've literally seen when even from like other scam baiters talking about it, where there is like $500,000 gone.
Oh man.
Wow.
you know,
That's crazy.
half a
But
mil,
like,
like-
how do
like
how do they end up giving $500,000? Like, okay, 40,000 is like, that's already bad enough. But
Yeah.
how do you end up getting convinced to give $500,000?
social engineering, man.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like it starts off with one little by little, little by little, little by little, and then you know before you know it, it's like your entire life savings are gone, and it's a little too late. And then at that point, you are also on the defense. Like there's no way this was a scam. Right? There's no way I just lost $500,000. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It would be hard to convince somebody. You sometimes even after the fact, right? You know, you'd have to show them a lot of proof to convince them that, hey, this is you just gave $500,000 to some person in India or something, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to law enforcement, have you ever had anybody who you've personally had like arrested so far?
No. I have. I know of. It's very hard to.
Yeah.
Like arrests are interesting actually, depending on where they're done.
Yeah.
So some countries will like that I know of. There have been times where, like we've worked with law enforcement in the States, and then they've told their counterparts in that particular country, like, hey, we're going to conduct a raid. So instead of allowing the American people to go conduct the raid, they'll go conduct the raid because they want like the recognition that we're doing something about this. And then it's just a slap on the hand, don't do it again. And then they're back at it within like 6 months.
I guess if there's no real like laws or anything, then they can't really do anything per se about it. Like you said, like the law, there's such a gray area around it, right? Because there's no, if somebody's attempting to fraud somebody, which is kind of weird. Like I'm sure there are some laws like here and in the US, but they're a little vague, right? That's probably the most major issue. Plus you're talking about some countries which, you know, their intelligence agencies or all their agencies in general are just already corrupt to begin with. So it's like they're probably getting, you know, paid off behind the scenes to, you know, turn the other way, right? So but yeah, what are some of like your funniest incidences that you've had like recording these people on call that you can remember?
So I mean, one of the things that my style of scam baiting is I literally go in there with no thought in mind of like, this is the direction that I'd like to take it. But what I like to do is I like to play off of what they say. So if they say something like, sir, your IP address has been hacked, right? So as soon as they say IP address, I go, but IP here, what do you mean? My IP right here. Where my address, they're coming to my address to P? Like, what do you mean? You know, like I like to do that kind of thing, right? Just to kind of like, just give people a laugh and, you know, kind of explain, you know, okay, what they mean about, you know, your IP address is they're trying to say that where you are located, that's been hacked, right? So little things like that. I usually kind of just try to go off the cuff on that. So there's various different, you know, scam baits that I've done where, people are, I mean, the scammers are just like confused, or when they ask me to give them the number of the gift cards, right? I'll instead of saying like, you know, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, I'll say like 4,375,000, you know? And they're like, no, one at a time. I'm like, okay, 4 quadrillion. 375 trillion, you know, like I'll do things like that, and just to kind of like, you know, the audience loves it, and these guys, it drives them nuts, right? So they're like, no, one by one, single digit. I'm like, look, what year is it? He's like 2023, right? So you don't go 2023, you say 2020. That's what I'm doing, okay? 2023, we're in 2023, let's say it properly, you know? And then he's like, no, one by one, and it just kind of gets them irate. I love doing that kind of crap.
Oh my
So
god,
good.
it's so funny. It's like sketch comedy.
Yeah.
Have you ever done stand-up? No? Why not?
Because I would suck at it.
What makes you think that?
Because I can't go tell jokes.
Oh, okay.
I can't go in with something prepared.
Yeah.
Right?
You're
I'm not
reacting.
good. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was gonna say you need to bounce off of somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So-
My sense of humor is always like that. Like someone says something and then it's just like, oh, sorry, you said that, man. Boom, we're going into that, right?
Yeah.
But going in to be like, so the other day I was talking to my mom. I can't do that. I can't do that. That's not my style.
What do you mean? You just did it.
I know, but you know, it's just not. It doesn't seem natural to me.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. Is there where do these voices come from? Like, I know you're already Hispanic, obviously, but like, where did you get the idea for all these other random voices that you do?
Okay, so what the goal? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show people it doesn't matter where you're from. Scammers are gonna try to scam you, right? So you could sound like you're from the States. You could sound like you're from any part of it, like Asia, African. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they're going to try to scam you. So what I've done is I've created characters that are a little bit like out there. Like, the accent is not what's funny. It's the character and the fact that, like, when you're from certain places throughout the world, like, you just say things a little bit differently than most people would say it.
Yeah.
Right. And so ever since I was a kid, because I've had friends from all over the world, you go to their houses or whatever, and you hear the accents, like their parents' accents and all that kind of stuff. So, like, you kind of pick that up. Like, everyone in my family pretty much has an accent, right? So they used to just call me the Canadian because I don't have an accent, right? I wish I did. I wish I spoke a little bit like this because, it would be a little bit, the ladies would have liked it a little bit, but I don't, right? So I just kind of, like, I pick, like, people that I know from my life, and I go, okay.
You try to replicate it. Yeah.
And I go, okay, this person, right? So there's different kind of inspirations for a lot of these voices, but mostly it's just because I know that it would be something that people would remember as well, right? And creating like a character, like I have a character, his name is Gary Willikers, right? So his name is G Willikers because that's something like we always would say, like, Canadians would say, hey, G Willikers, man, are you gonna be coming to the, like that kind of thing? So there's actually a place in Nova Scotia called G Willikers.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta look this up now. G Willikers. How do you come up with like a name for a town like that? Like, this is totally off
It's not a
topic.
town. It's just like a place of business.
Oh, okay,
Got
that
it.
makes sense.
Yeah.
However, did you know in Newfoundland there is a town called Dildo?
Yes.
I don't know if I've mentioned it on the show before.
Yes.
You knew about that? I think they're actually trying to change it now. I would never change that. That's hilarious, right? Like, you gotta keep like, welcome to Dildo.
Yeah. I think there's places called Hell too.
There is definitely. Yeah.
Welcome to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually a place, I think it's in Russia. It came up yesterday because I was trying to find a certain location, and for some reason, so we went to an abandoned house and people have been calling it the Nazi house. So I started typing in the Nazi house on Google just to see if there was something actually listed as the Nazi house. Apparently in Russia there is a place called Nazi. This is totally unrelated. Yeah. So if you type in Nazi on Google Maps, it will come up. It's like this random place in the middle of nowhere somewhere in Russia. I don't know why they called it that, but I don't know. I just thought it was freaking hilarious. But so there was one video I was watching earlier before you got here, and before I found you on the side of the road and picked you up and decided to bring you into the studio.
Remember, I was hitchhiking, but I had my thumb out like this.
Yeah,
it wasn't even like a full thumb. It was the Orange Cassidy thumb, like this.
But there was one story you had. It was the scam buster that becomes the scammer. What was that all about? Because I didn't get to finish it. But
oh yeah.
Tell us the story.
Okay, so I hesitated making that video for a good like half a year.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to cause like a rift within the actual scam baiting community because we're all trying to do the same thing, right? Which is keep people safe and all that kind of stuff. The challenge was someone sends me a tweet, a DM on Twitter, and was like, hey, I think this person might be faking their videos. And sorry, not on Twitter, it was on Discord. And I was like, really? So then I go, let me go check it out. So I go and check it out, and I'm listening to these calls, and I'm like, that doesn't sound real at all. Like, it doesn't sound like a real scammer.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, there's no way. So I started watching more of their videos and realizing, yeah, this is not real at all. Right? Like, I mean, they faked everything. They hired voice actors from Fiverr.
Wow.
Right? To be the scammer. I'm like, dude, it's so easy. Just pick up the call and call an actual scammer.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of faking it. But they were doing it for like the clickbaity titles, and like, we shut down this scammer call center and the boss went crazy. And I mean, like, it was just like, I did like a thorough investigation. I found they would leave comments, thanking on Fiverr, thanking the voice actor for doing it. I found that, and I was like, no. Right. And I even Skype them, this person, and I was like, hey, I gave them the chance to like come clean, right? And they were like, nope, all my videos are real. There's nothing fake about them. And I gave them a chance to come clean. They didn't come clean, and then I said, okay, well, I'm gonna expose what you're doing, And then I made the video, and then it just caused like a bit of an uproar, like almost like people became segregated, and these people
we believe Deo, we
yeah,
believe this guy.
yeah, and some people were like, well, there's no way he fakes his videos, and then I put the proof, and they're like, oh, well, it doesn't matter, you're just trying to get clout, and I'm like, no, actually, I'm trying to like, we if we want to have good partnerships with law enforcement or anybody who would take us serious, there's no room for like fake stuff on there. You know what I mean? Like it diminishes our credibility.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't want that, right? And I was trying to the way that I viewed it was like I was looking out for the scam baiting community to make sure that wasn't the case.
Right.
But no, like it was it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm just looking at your channel here. You got quite a few that amassed quite a large amount of views here. Let me switch this. Is there any video that you created that kind of like really stood out to you that you're like, yeah, I'm really, really proud of this piece of work, or maybe a few different videos?
I mean, I've collaborated with a few people.
Mm-hmm.
Those are always fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say like I have like a favorite one or that I'm proud of one more so than the other. I just, I think one thing, like I have that one there. It says using Indian accent on Indian scammers.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I have people who are Indian who say like, yeah, you sound like you could be legit Indian, right? Which is always like, okay, that's good. Like, I'm hoping that's the case. And then I have people who are going like, that is not an Indian accent, like whatever. And then, so it's like, just if they can believe that I'm from somewhere, that's a win in my book.
That's what you need.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's a particular video that I would say like I'm super proud of this video. Like I normally try to take my time with my videos, and I try not to put it out unless like I've actually like done some work. There's stuff that people like, a lot of people don't necessarily cover, like the death threat scam.
Mm-hmm.
That one's pretty gruesome.
What's that one?
So what happens is these guys, this is based out of the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
So what they'll do is they'll send you a text message saying, because you stood up our escort, you need to pay us $3,000. So it's an extortion scam.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you're like, I didn't do anything like that, they go, I know your full name, right? Because in the States, it's really easy to find all that information.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll say, I know your full name. I know your family's names. I know your relatives. I know where you live. I know this. And they send you all that information. And if you do not send us the money, this is what's going to happen to you. And then they send you pictures from the Mexican cartel of like decapitated bodies and like, chopped up, like terrible stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And people freak out, man.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, oh my gosh. Okay. What do I do? And then, you send them money, and
That's
then
nuts.
you're out some money, and then they come back and say, if you don't give more, then more to come, So that's a scam that can really, really like grab a hold of, it's like the sextortion scam, right? Which is like, if you, they ask you for a video of yourself doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing, or like a picture of yourself, nude, then they'll threaten to expose that all to your family, or they'll say, oh, we found your browsing history, and we're going to expose it to your family unless you pay us. That kind of stuff. Like those extortion type of scams are really, really dangerous because they can find information about you, especially in the States, and then it freaks people out.
Yeah, I'd be kind of freaked out if somebody randomly texted me. It's like, is that how it works? Like they'll text you, or obviously message you on some.
They'll text you. They use Snapchat a lot.
Yeah.
Because the snaps vanish.
Yeah.
So they use that a lot. They use like I've had people who have been victims of scams say, hey, this is that Snapchat. Like this is their handle. Can you please like try to bait them? And so I try to, but it's hard. It's a little bit harder. Again, it's like the romance scams. It's a little bit different. The calls are so much easier because you're just like on the phone with someone. You know that you have them on the hook. Yeah. With these ones, you're like, will they get it? Will they not? Do they believe I'm real? Or not? So that one's always iffy. But yeah, they use a lot of those apps. That's why I always say like, I know it sounds dumb, but like lock your stuff down. Don't make your friends public. Don't make your profile public. Keep your stuff kind of like a little bit more tight so that you're not exposed to that kind of stuff, right? No rando is gonna message you.
Yeah,
Right.
don't leave like a trail, I guess, right? So, I mean, if you're showing who you're like, I remember on Facebook at one point you could like link, oh, this person's my cousin, this person's my siblings,
Yeah.
these are my parents,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, thanks Facebook for making it really easy
Yeah.
for scammers to figure out literally every single detail about you. And then there's that other one where they would call and pretend to be like, oh, this is, hey, like imagine you were my dad, hypothetically. And it'd be like,
I am.
hey, Dad. I am. Imagine.
Sorry to break it to you, Angela.
I am your father. But yeah, imagine like you were my father, and all of a sudden you got a call, and it was like, Dad, I need help. Blah blah blah. Send money or something like that. Like that's a very common one too,
Yeah.
right? You want to explain maybe how that works?
Yeah, and that's actually, they're using AI to do a lot of that too now,
Yeah.
right?
I was going to ask you about AI.
Yeah,
Yep.
they get your voice and then just, you take a couple samples. So when that happens, I think the thing that most people do is obviously they panic, right? You hear your child saying like, what they'll do is they'll say, hey, Mom, Dad, like I'm okay, but blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you hear the person in the back going like, if you don't tell them to send us money or we'll kill you kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? And then the person freaks out, right? The person on the other end. I think one of the things that you need to do right away is hang up and then call that person back right away,
Right.
right? And see if it's really them.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when you realize it's not, then you're just kind of like, it freaks you out,
Yeah.
right? But they might have like all that information about you. So yeah, those things can be really, really, really scary as well.
Yeah, probably a little bit traumatizing, right?
100%.
So, like somebody like my mom, you know how my mom is.
Yeah.
She'd panic in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. So, give them an opportunity at least to call back to confirm that it was actually them or not.
But see,
right?
this is where it comes in. Like it's about preventing from the get-go, right? Like it's about helping and empowering those that we love to know what to look out for.
Right.
So like, your mom might know to hang up on like a tech support scammer who calls, but not that one, right? That scammer who's calling, pretending there's Angelo in the background saying like, or the grandparent scam, right? Which is they call and say, hi, grandma, grandpa, I'm in jail. Please don't tell mom, but I need $200 or $2,000 to be sent. There's someone who's going to come by and pick it up. And they'll actually send people to the houses and pick up the money. Right?
Holy.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So like those kinds of scams, like, you hear those kinds of things. It's like, okay, you should have like a code word, right? What's the code word?
Yeah.
They're probably not going to get it. Make it like something only you and your family would know, right? And not something so obvious, things like that, like ways to prevent these kinds of things so that when it does happen, they're already ready for it and they're not going to fold, right? Because again, it's the social engineering aspect of it, right? It's the fear. Like that's what scammers like prey on. You're going to get arrested with the CRA scam. That's what it was. You're going to get arrested if you don't, send us this money. You owe taxes, blah, 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 right? With the tech support scams, if you don't pay us this money, we'll lock your computer.
Yeah.
Things like that, right? So be on your devices too. Never let anyone connect to any device, right? No company, no legit company is going to connect to your device unless you actually have something with them.
That
And
makes
even
sense.
then,
Yeah.
pay
I
very
know.
close attention.
I know what the absolute best way to protect yourself from all of this is.
Wear a condom.
Do you know?
Sorry, I just had to.
You know what it is?
No, what was that?
To subscribe to DEYOCLUB on YouTube.
that is a good method. I would have to concur with that.
Imagine all these people have no idea about a lot of these things, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that it's mostly the elderly, maybe the people that don't speak the language that are targeted?
It's a range.
Yeah.
Scammers like romance scams and tech support refund scams prefer the elderly just because they know they can really manipulate them. Because most like not I don't know. I knocked on wood for some reason. So I'm not gonna. I don't know.
This table's not real wood, by the way.
So it not to say that all elderly people are not aware of or they're not tech savvy,
Of course.
but a good chunk are not. Right. And so they kind of say, well, no, we have to do this because of this. And okay.
Right.
You have to connect to my computer. Yes, man, because there are hackers on your computer. See? And they run a simple thing on your computer and then they paste something at the bottom when it ends that says 18 hackers found, virus. You've been watching CP. You know what I mean? And CPH, like child porn. I don't know if I could say that or not.
Oh,
but
yeah.
got it.
So, anyways, so you've been watching that kind of stuff, so it scares people, right? Like, no, I wasn't.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, it says here that you were. So we need to protect your system,
Right.
right?
Uh-oh.
We need you to go get blocking cards, or and that's where they get you to go get gift cards or send money in a package, in a box, in a magazine, to send money in the mail. Right? FedEx it to them, UPS it to them, give us a tracking number. Like it's all like rush, do it now, do it now. And people feel like, or I'm going to lose my job. Right?
Oh, I
like,
see.
well, I don't want you to lose your job. So I'll go do what you say now. Right?
Oh no, not Mr. Raj from Rogers, right? We don't want you to lose your job.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's some crazy stories. But in terms of the actual scammers, because you've had a lot of like heart to heart with some of these people, and have you ever legitimately confirmed that like one of these people have ever actually turned their lives around and then gone in the other direction? Like they started out doing this and then realized what they were doing, and then you kind of talked them down from doing it?
So from me speaking to them, no, not necessarily, but I have seen it from others.
Okay.
Like fairly larger channels.
Yeah.
Like sometimes scammers will reach out to those larger channels and be like, hey, I really don't want to be doing this anymore. Can we, can you help me?
Wow.
Right? So sometimes there is that situation. I personally I haven't had that happen. I have scammers who tell me I'm gonna quit. I know I'm gonna, and I say, okay, do it right now. Stand up right now in the call center.
Yell
and
at the top of your lungs.
Yeah, and say, I'm done with this crap. I'm out of here. Tell, oh well, blah blah. No, I'll do it. I'll do it though. I'll do it.
So how much are these people that are making the calls making?
I was about to ask the same question.
Yeah. So we said some of them are large organizations, but the people that are talking to us on the phones, what are they making? And
so you got the freshers or the openers.
Okay.
They don't make like nothing.
Okay.
Right. They're the ones who say, I'm going to connect you to my manager. Right. The managers are the closers. Right. So those guys, they get, I think it's like, they say the average is like about $200 a day. Right. Or I don't know if is it a day or a week? I can't remember. It might be a week actually. $200 a week that they get paid, but then they also get a percentage of what they scam. Right. But obviously the people who make all the money are the bosses, right? The people at the top. So they're the ones who run this operation. They just make sure like, their scammers are hydrated, they're whatever, and that they're paid. Right. And that's why a lot of these guys think it's a real job. I've heard every excuse in the book too from a lot of these guys. They don't make a whole lot of money, and you tell them, you could do something else, right? I don't know if you know this, but India, for example, has the most silver play buttons.
Really?
Yeah.
why is that?
I don't know.
T-Series.
Yeah,
I'm imagining T-Series has the biggest
for
channel,
example,
right?
like I'm giving you an example. Like when I talk to the Indian scammers, and they go, "Oh, I can't do anything else." I'm like, "Bro, you speak English. Like, go work at a hotel. Go,
exactly.
teach English.
There's
go,
so many things you
there's
can
so many
do.
things. Use what you can do. Use your skills for good, but it doesn't pay enough." And so then they go, "Well, I thought this was a legit call center when I signed up, but it turns out that it's not. So I'm stuck here." And like they'll threaten my family if I leave.
Oh, man.
Or if I expose them. Like there's a lot of dangerous stuff there. Again, like I said, it's the higher up you go, like the more dangerous it becomes.
Right.
And so for a lot of these guys, they almost feel like I'm stuck here. I can't do anything else, right? Even if I present them with all these potential options of things that they could do, give them ideas, and they're like, no, like I'm doing this.
Yeah,
too bad.
exactly.
Yeah.
They kind of feel a little bit trapped, so to say, right? They're stuck in this one position, especially if they're in like a third world country, so to say. I mean, India's like kind of, coming out of that, but there's still a lot of areas that are not very good places to live. So they probably make next to no money, and they're seeing some money now all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So they just kind of keep going and going, and they're trying their very hardest to keep it going. And I'm gonna pause for a second because this machine is driving me crazy, and then we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Okay, problem fixed, I think, for the most part, because for some reason this thing just overheats and the fan just, I don't know, does some weird stuff. But yeah, you had a question?
Yeah, man. How are you finding these scammers to call? Because most of the time you're saying you're calling in to them. So how does that happen? How do you find these numbers?
All right, so there's several different ways that as scam baiters, like we find numbers. Mostly, actually, it's from the community itself.
Okay.
So there's actually a website that is just littered with scammer numbers.
Okay.
I don't know if I can say it on here, but I can give it to you if you guys want. Sure, it's scammer.info.
Got it.
That's one, and they usually post on there like what type of scam it is, you know, when they called, what they said, what the extension number is, like a lot more information, like a picture of like the pop-up or whatever it might be.
Oh wow, it's like a whole messaging board type of thing.
Yeah.
It up.
So you know, I'll go to that website. So scammer.info. There is usually on Twitter actually. There are people who post scammer numbers as well.
Okay.
And they'll say, you know, they'll have like a screenshot as well of the scam that it was. I get a lot of emails from subscribers. They'll forward emails to me of like, hey, I got this Geek Squad scam. I got this Microsoft Defender scam. I got this scam. And then it shows exactly the email that they received. Right? Some of these emails, man, are horrible. Yeah. I mean, like, if these guys scam anyone, good for them. You know what I mean? Like, they're just the way the way they're formatted, it just looks horrible.
The grammar, the spelling, that stuff.
Yeah. But I don't like to correct the grammar and all that kind of stuff because then it tells them like, hey, I gotta fix that. Yeah. Right. And it makes them a little bit smarter. Right. But just their emails look terrible. Right. So a lot of times, you know, people will post them. Oftentimes if I'm doing like a live stream and I'm scam baiting live. Oftentimes I'll get DMs from people either on Discord or I'll get people DM me if I'm live streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/DEYOCLUB. If I'm on there, then they'll send me a whisper and they'll tell me they're like, hey, I got this number, blah blah blah. Nice. Right? But most of the time, it's audience generated a lot of times. Like, yeah. So.
I know on like on my cell phone, I mean, when I'm getting these calls, and I'm assuming they're mostly the robocalls, but my phone's actually blocking them out now, and I'm either not receiving them or it's popping up as a phone call and then it's saying suspected spam. Yeah. Do you ever deal with any spam or anything like that?
Me personally, no, not so much actually. Which brings me to another website actually, nomorobo.com.
So I think I've been there actually.
NOMOrobo.com.
No more?
No, like Nomo Robo.
Nomo Robo.
So that is a great website too because it also like lists the kind of scam or spam spam calls. Okay. Spam calls and scam calls are kind of not the same thing, but can be. Does that make sense?
I suspect those are mostly leading towards scams. No.
Well, no, because spam technically could be like duck cleaning, collection agencies, things like that could be considered spam. Right?
Yeah. So, whereas a scam call is like, it's nothing about it is legit. Right. Like not at all. Got it. There's no service. There's no real product. Right. None of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there is a real product. It's called taking your money away from you. That's the product. Yeah. Some of these scammers are freaking hilarious. I think I got one earlier today, actually. I think, let me see my phone here. I got a text message. And it was really funny because I'm just like, it was funny too because we had planned this episode. And it's like, hey, did you get the money? And I'm like, hey, hang on, maybe I should respond. No, I didn't. Okay. I get these like all the time now. It's hilarious.
We're baiting a scammer live.
Yeah.
Live on
the other ones, I think you mentioned it. It was the sex ones, sex related ones where they're like pretending to be women and they have like nude photos as their like logo or whatever. I find they do it a lot on Instagram now. I get these spams all the time. So it's freaking ridiculous. How do those work? It's just like a basic type of scam thing.
Same thing. It's all they're trying to do is fish information, right? How much information can we get out of this person to then blackmail them kind of thing. I would say to keep yourself safe, don't bait with your real information, right? Because it does tie back to you, who you are. Right. I always say just create your own like alias online. Like if you're gonna sign up for stuff, just create an email that's completely junk and just all your junk mail can go to that email. Keeps your actual email clean. Sure. You know what I mean? Like just have one that's specific for that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then like just let that run kind of thing. Right. But like and if you want to go after scammers with that email, go for it. But it keeps you away from your real stuff. That's always the best way. Same with text. Like when you get a text message from a scammer, like I usually just pretend I don't speak English. I'll start speaking Spanish. Hello, ¿quién es? ¿Cómo está? And then they go, oh, okay. Right? But it's just like a little tactic that you could use when you get those kind of calls. But yeah, just protect yourself. Don't use your real stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's so many now. Like I find it's easy to prey on these older people because they don't, like my mom will text me all the time. Like I don't know if this is like a legit thing. It's from WhatsApp.
It's from WhatsApp?
It says it's from WhatsApp.
Yeah.
It's like 2-step verification. I don't know. It looks like it says official WhatsApp account, but it's like you see this stuff and it's like, I don't know what's real and what's not real nowadays.
Yeah.
And then like you get random emails and it's like, oh, you signed up for this today. And then today my mom was like, oh yeah, I signed you up for an account at X store so I can get a discount because she had already used her email. I'm like, damn it, you're like confusing me. But a lot of times they'll get like random text messages like, oh, your UPS package is coming or whatever,
Right.
like stupid shit. I'm like, what? I never ordered anything from UPS.
Yeah.
Or they'll say something along the lines of, you'll get a text message and it's like, oh, your Scotiabank account has been compromised or credit card or whatever. It's like, I don't have a Scotiabank card. Those are easy, but I don't
Unless
know.
you're a Scotiabank client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over the years, are you finding that a lot of these scams are becoming more and more advanced? Like they're becoming more intelligent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, if you get a thing with a link on it, like don't click on the link.
Yeah.
Right. If you're ever in doubt, just call the company directly.
Right.
Right. And don't Google the company phone number. Right. Because scammers also buy Google ads and they'll find a way to get the fake, especially for like fake flights.
Yeah.
All the time. That's what they do. Right.
Fake flights?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like so they'll
Advertise cheap flights.
Yeah, they'll advertise like a cheap flight, and then they book you a flight, and they charge you like 3 times or 4 times what you're supposed to pay. Like it's yeah.
But
And
do you actually get the flight at all?
No. That's the thing too.
Like if you're gonna overcharge me by 4 times, at least give me one flight, right?
First class, damn it, first class.
Like come
But
on.
yeah, so don't click on any links. Just if you have WhatsApp. Okay, so go to your actual WhatsApp application and go through your settings yourself and put 2-factor authentication on yourself without clicking anything on any message, right? Always do that, right? If UPS calls you or messages you, says you have a package, you're not expecting a package, so call UPS and be like, hi, I have a package that's supposed to be coming. No, you don't. Okay, thank you. You just verify. Always stop, drop, shut them down. No, I'm just kidding. Right? So always just verify the information. Always just verify the information. But they are getting smarter. And have you heard of anyone who's had their Instagram account hacked?
Oh,
yeah.
Tons.
Okay.
How does that work?
Okay,
that's
perfect.
one thing that I've always
or Messenger
wondered.
or Facebook Messenger. Sometimes like your friend will send you a message on Messenger.
Yeah, Facebook Messenger. But I think the most common one that I've been seeing a lot is Instagram.
Okay, so let me just kind of like break everyone's bubble for a second.
Yeah.
You haven't been hacked.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's really difficult for someone to hack you. In order for them to hack you, they have to have your like information, like your email or your username or whatever, but then they have to brute force the password. That's not how this works. So what happens typically is you'll get a message from one of your friends who has already been quote unquote hacked, and I'm saying it in air quotes because it's not that they're hacked. And what they do is they actually try to convince you to help them with something. Either they entered a contest and they need you to vote for them, or they forgot something, or they've sent something and they need a pin. You just got a text message saying there's a pin. What's the pin? They'll ask you for that pin number, but what they're doing is they're actually resetting your password. Right?
Wow.
So then you're giving them the information.
Yeah.
So they're phishing it. They're not hacking you.
Yeah.
You've given it to them, and then they take over your account.
Right.
And then they do that to your friend, and they do that to your friend, and then they say, "You want your account back? Pay us $500." Right? And so people are like, "Oh crap!" Right?
Wow.
They start realizing, "Oh man, I got hacked." And then the sad thing is, you could have, like, remember I said lock your profiles down. So at that point, your profile is locked, and if, like, what I've done whenever I get a message on Instagram saying, like, hey, vote for me, blah blah blah, I'll say, oh man, I haven't talked to you in forever. Let's do a video chat real quick. Oh no, I can't right now. And anytime that they refuse, that's a big red flag, right? Let's do a video chat right now. Oh, let me call you. Oh no, I'm busy. Like, they always have like an excuse. You always look out for those excuses, and that's when like, okay, your friend's been hacked. But I always say, like, verify. This happens in businesses as well, right? Companies get like phishing attempts, right? Business email compromise.
Yeah.
Your boss is asking you to go get a bunch of gift cards. It's like, okay, well, well, call your boss first and be like, hey, just wanted to double check. Did you actually email me to go get the gift cards? Yeah, I did. Okay, perfect.
Right.
But if they didn't, no, okay, then you know that's a phishing attempt.
That's right.
Right? And like it's like things like that. It's just like the idea of convenience is very hard for people. And so everything's at the touch of your phone nowadays. So they're getting better with AI and being harder to detect. But it's because we're also like so convenient. Like I just want to click. Yeah, okay, fine, I'll click. That's a big problem.
Yeah.
Right. So people just need to kind of like stop and calm down for a second and like actually check things, double check. If you're always like, if you're at all hesitant, it's okay to be hesitant. Like just double check.
Right.
Yeah.
Better to be safe.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like earlier, I got a weird message on Instagram from some Moshi guy, and he was asking me for pics of my pee-pee. So I just to verify.
Sorry, excuse me. What's weird about that?
Let me finish.
You sent them and it was like 8 pictures long.
That's what was weird.
No, I ended up just sending them just straight text message to him. So
okay.
I mean, I know he got them, so he's just not saying it right now.
That's right.
He was very impressed. But yeah, so there was another video that you had. Victim becomes the mule. So explain that one so people understand what that whole kind of concept is.
Yeah. All right. So usually what these scammers will do is they need money mules in the States or Canada that will move the money around, right? This is that's what money laundering is, right? Laundering is like you're washing the money. So getting it as far away from the source as possible. So what they do is they'll find, like they'll scam someone and they'll say, the person will let's say they'll lose like 20 grand, right? So now that that person has lost money, the scammer will call the person back and say, hey, we're going to try to get your money back. What we're going to do is we're actually going to have someone's going to be sending you some money. You need to take out like $1,000 of that and then keep that for yourself so you can get your money back. It's our process, the way that we are working it, right? We're going to have that sent to you. And then the person's like, okay. And then we're going to give you the address of where you need to send the rest of that money off to. And they say, okay, perfect. Right. And then that's kind of how they do it. And then they go to that person, let them take a portion of it. And then that person moves it. And then they take a portion of it. And then eventually it gets back to where it needs to go. Right. Or they'll do gift cards. They'll try to wash the money somehow, some way. Right. But victims are typically the people who are mules for these scammers. Right? They start off as a victim first, usually, unless the scammers have a connection in those places that they say, okay, hey, we're gonna do this illegal stuff. Those are money mules that completely are money mules. Then that's what they do. But the majority of people are, seniors who have no idea what's going on, and they just say, yeah, I was told to send off this package. I was just told off to send off this package. They'll even tell you, okay, from that package, take out $500 and use that $500 to ship the package away, to continue the package off, right? And so that's kind of like, usually it's the victims who become the money mules, and then eventually it gets back up to where it needs to go.
Wow. Sad.
Wild. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize like how that works, and it's crazy too because it's like you were victimized, and then all of a sudden they turned you into a criminal, like totally unintentionally.
Yeah,
right.
And you know what? That's their thing. Because guess what? It doesn't tie back to them. And at the end of the day, who gets arrested?
Yeah,
person who did it, which
correct.
Is you. Yeah.
Right. In the States, for example, willing or unwilling mule is a federal crime.
Yeah.
Right. You could do like hard time for that kind of stuff. Right. So it's like these people are completely clueless as to, I don't know, some people, it's like almost like it doesn't click in that they're being used as a mule. They just look at it, I just need to recuperate my money. Yeah. Right. I gave them 20,000. I've gotten 5,000 back. I'm almost there. Like I'm gonna keep doing this until you see what I mean? Until I get all my money back. Yeah. Right. Oh, man. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's definitely crazy.
You mentioned a couple times, you mentioned gift cards. So what are they doing with these? Is it literally just, I'm buying a gift card for whatever it is, giving them the code, and then they just use on their website? What are they doing with these gift cards?
So they do a couple of different things. One, they'll use the gift card. Yeah. Right. Two, they'll actually put it on the black market. and get
okay.
you know, like if it's $100 gift card, I can sell you that $100 gift card for $50. Right. And then you're gonna sell it to someone who's gonna pay the $100, so you make that money back.
Yeah.
Right. So they do that kind of thing as well. And sometimes I'm not exactly sure exactly where they can, but I know that they can. They do trading. So like there was a place called Paxful before where people would trade gift cards and turn it into cash.
Nice.
Right. So because of that, like that's kind of how they do it.
I see. Is there a lot of that going around? The gift card ones? Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Gift cards were like a big thing for a good while. They've kind of died down, but they're kind of like making a comeback. Usually one really good way to bait a scammer is you just call them up and be like, okay, I'm at UPS. Where am I sending this money to? Right. And they'll give you the mule information of where you need to send it to. And then you can contact law enforcement and say like, hey, I've got, you know, the address of this person who's being used as a mule. Wow. They may not know. This is blah, blah, this is what we know. This much money is being sent and that kind of thing. Right.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, man.
What is this? Canadian pharmacy scam. What the hell is that?
So this is it's not based out of Canada. It's just called Canadian Pharmacy. And what they do is they sell things that or I guess things that you need prescription for.
Yeah.
Without a prescription.
Oh, okay.
And it's illegal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So wait, explain that again. So
let's say, for example, Angelo, because of your 8-pick long thing, right?
It's a serious problem.
So let's say you need some Viagra.
Yeah.
Right? Well, you need a prescription for Viagra. So in order to, these guys will say, you know, they're usually based out of the Philippines, and they'll say, we can send it to you. Right? For how much money? For how much would you like it? Right? So they'll say it will cost you $44. Right?
44.
Yeah. So then they'll send, you know, $400, right? For rock hard. You'll be rock hard. Like that's usually what they. I'm not even kidding.
That's
like
amazing.
I've actually called them,
God.
right? And that's what they'll say is like, hey, it's for this, and you need a prescription for it, but they're gonna send it to you, right? And so that's kind of you're paying for something you're never really gonna get.
Yeah.
It never comes.
Damn it! I never got my Viagra. My Viagra. There's another one here. SSA suspension email? What the hell?
Social Security Administration.
Oh.
So your Social Security number, like remember the SIN number? Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of in the beginning when the Canada Revenue Agency scam was really big, like in 2018, 2019, and then once COVID kind of started coming along, they started doing the Service Canada scam. So that was a little bit different. Now they were saying it was about your social insurance number. The other one was about the Canada Revenue Agency, your unpaid taxes.
Right.
This one was more about the social insurance number. So in the States, it's called the SSA scam. So they had the IRS scam for Internal Revenue Service, like the CRA, and then and then they switched to the Social Security scam, and in Canada it was Service Canada scam, right? And so it was kind of like they used the same script. Right.
Nice.
We found an abandoned car on the south border of Texas with blood and drug residue in it, and it was registered under your name.
Oh,
you know, why have you done such a thing?
Holy.
Right.
So that's where I parked my car.
Yeah. So whenever they call and they say, "Do you have a vehicle?" I say, "Yeah, I have a Toyota Corolla, and I abandoned it on the south border of Texas."
Yeah, exactly.
But in Canada, they would say, it was abandoned on the south border of Nunavut. And it was a Kia for some reason for us. Like,
perfect.
A Kia.
Like Canadians drive Kia.
Is that like a common car that people drive here? A Kia.
I have no idea.
Killed in action. Found on the border of Nunavut and the border with the U.S. somehow.
Yeah.
Which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, they found my car on the border with of PEI with Northwest Territories.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's always like there's drugs inside, and they'll say like 20 pounds of cocaine, right? 20 pounds of coke and blood and drug residue inside, and it was registered under your name.
Yeah.
Right, like this rented car, right? And it's like, what? So it gets a lot of people like, oh. No, it wasn't me.
I didn't do it, I swear.
Well, then this is why you have to listen to what we say.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, be very careful who you send nudies to. Because you never know.
Don't send nudies.
Or don't send them at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably for the
Do you
best,
remember
What?
Do you remember one night? Oh man, I sent you an Instagram
What is
account.
going on here? Do you remember one night?
Oh.
Do you remember one night? Yeah, you remember?
Yeah, now I know what you're talking
It's
about.
not. This one wasn't a scam, but
No.
because you said the nudie pictures, one account showed up on my Instagram, sent me a message, and it was a picture of someone we know naked.
Yeah.
No.
And I was like, "Is this person?" I sent it to
Yeah.
you, and you're like, "That's definitely this person."
That definitely, I can totally tell based on the size of their, you know what. No, at first I was wondering, I'm like, because there was no context, you just sent the link, and so I opened it right away without him actually saying anything, and I'm like, bro, why are you sending me nudes of somebody else? And it turned out,
But it had their face in it, and it was definitely.
was that like part of a scam? You think?
I think it was just
Blackmail.
like you said, sending nudies. Like, don't send nudies because someone's
Yeah.
going to use it against you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Be very careful of who you send.
I get people are like, comfortable with their bodies, but like,
Yeah, don't.
if you're gonna just wait till you're with that person, then get naked. Like, don't send your pictures. Like the internet is forever, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, how scary is that? Yeah.
It's like protect yourself.
What do you think about all these AI ones? So we touched on it for a second, but especially the ones that are like, I guess we did speak specifically on that. Like, hey, grandma,
romance scams and the other.
Are they getting? They must be getting the way AI is growing. They must be getting very sophisticated.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And those people like literally have people go to your house to go pick up
That's so
like
scary.
money and stuff. Right. So, yeah. It's pretty crazy.
So people could be anywhere. Like literally, I'm going to drive to your place in 2 hours and just have it sitting outside.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of these people everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why.
I know it's crazy, bro.
That's scary to think.
Yeah. It's, you have to be really careful. Basically who you trust, right? I get it. Like, I'm not talking about like you have to be a conspiracy theorist and be like, everyone's out to get me. But you just, when it comes to some stuff, just be over vigilant.
Yeah.
You gotta be, especially if you have like parents and stuff like that you want to protect, even yourself. Like we're not immune to that kind of stuff, right? Like our generation is like the nudes and stuff, right? You don't hear grandma and grandpa going like, I got scammed because I sent my nude. Louise, why didn't you send the nude back? Oh dear, I was going to, dear, but I never did. Like you don't see that happening, right? It's mostly like, hi, I sent a nude and like don't click on it, please. Like that kind of thing.
Sure.
Right? So it's mostly like the younger generations that are kind of falling for those. But what I'm saying is like just be vigilant with yourself and be vigilant with those around you.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's always good to just be a little bit more careful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what is your opinion of YouTube at the moment when it comes to maybe in general? Because I know you had some issues with them. If you want to explain what your problem was.
Yeah. How are things going with your channel, Deo?
Yeah.
Channels, the channel itself is good.
Yeah.
It's I've got a very great and loyal fan base. I think that they're phenomenal people, and like they come to my videos and then they leave comments and they're chatting in the live chats and all that kind of stuff. So it's always lots of fun. I like YouTube as a platform itself, just in general. I think it's it's got competitors now with like Rumble, Kick, and all that kind of stuff. But YouTube is cool. Like you can upload videos there, keep them private, and it's like a storage, I guess you could say,
sure,
right?
yeah.
So for a lot of people.
But in the comparison, like if we're going to compare platform to platform, there is still nothing like YouTube specifically, right?
Yeah.
Like they've tried to start competing with TikTok when it comes to shorts. Their only real maybe comparison right now would be Rumble, but Rumble is still very heavy when it comes to politics.
Right.
They haven't really garnered a larger audience for other categories of stuff. I mean, I know I've been posting stuff for here, stuff for my main channel, just trying to see kind of where it goes if it happens to actually pick up a larger audience. But that's their predominant market. But I think YouTube at the moment is still where it's at, especially when it comes to there's just a broader perspective, because not everybody knows yet what Rumble is, right?
Yeah.
It's like all these competitors that have tried to compete with Twitter, for example. There is no legitimate competitor for Twitter.
Right.
There are certain people going to things like, Truth Social, going to, what was the other one that Dan Bongino's?
Threads.
There was Threads for a little period of time, but I think that didn't even take off at all, realistically. A lot of people just complained about it straight up, and just Twitter is Twitter. Well, now it's X, apparently. So,
happened like
but
today.
they decided to keep it as tweeting. It's not Xing. I am not Xing. I did not X today. Did you X today, Dave? Yo,
I'm an XX user. Yeah.
Yeah, I
you're
don't
an
know what you
XX
do with that.
user. But yeah, so I am not Xing today. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, YouTube's kind of just where it's at.
Mm-hmm. I think there obviously, like any platform, there's room for improvement, places where they could really
100%.
improve. I found, like in my situation, for example, like my channel got demonetized because someone botted my channel. And
How long ago?
this was the beginning of 2021, I believe, or 2020. I can't remember
It's been a
exactly.
while.
It's been a while. And I keep posting videos on there because, well, I like making videos myself, right?
Yeah.
So, but it was just interesting when you send, a conversation back and forth with YouTube. It's almost like you're not really getting a human to look at your look at your stuff, like, to look at what your complaint is about.
Yeah.
And many times it's like, we have our detection systems, right? Okay, where are these detection systems for scam ads that are allowed on YouTube? Like I kid you
There
not.
are actual
what's
scam
that?
Actual scam
Explain
ads.
that.
So you know how you get ads on YouTube,
Yeah.
right? Unless you're a YouTube Premium subscriber. But let's say you're not a YouTube Premium subscriber and you're just going to watch a video, you get
Right.
ads. Well, some of those ads are for scams, like
Okay.
legitimate scams, like get rich quick stuff,
What?
right? And so, was there no human to verify that was legit or not? Yeah, there's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
I guess until they get a complaint, right?
yeah. And even then, when they get a complaint, it's, I've seen those ads are some of them are like 6-7 years old, right? And they're just coming up again and like replaying again, replaying
wow.
again. And so, like I have a video that I'm working on that's about that kind of stuff, because I actually
Nice.
went through the scam,
Wow.
right, to see, okay, where does this lead to, right? And so, but yeah, it's like, it's the way you're communicating with someone is, it feels like on YouTube, it's not really someone who's cares about your situation as much. I
Yeah.
guess it's someone replying in the middle of the night, like 2:00 in the morning, get a reply. I'm like, what? Like,
yeah.
I'm seeing this in the morning, but they replied at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like,
And you know
heck?
what that means is that they're literally,
Outsourcing it.
yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
outsourced contacts. So
Yeah.
it's not even a person who's here
Yeah.
who will legitimately understand everything that's being broken down. So.
And for my situation, for example, is I even made a video explaining like what the anomalies were that I found.
yeah.
But the thing is, YouTube itself doesn't tell you how to look for those things.
Yeah.
Right? They just say, you violated Google AdSense thing. Okay, well, how was I supposed to protect myself from that?
Right.
They don't tell you how. Right? Well, we have proprietary detection systems. Okay, well, so we can't tell you what you need to do. We
Yeah.
can't tell you where it was found, when it was found. Like I said, can you tell me when and where, on what video this happened on? No, we can't tell you anything. It's like, what, you accuse someone of a crime, for example, but I can't give you any information about what that crime was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like,
no, what's
what?
weird, no?
Yeah. It's so I've heard just through the grapevine and other creators who've spoken about stuff like that YouTube kind of has a policy that's not really public. And the reason why is because internally things kind of change, right? So on a day-to-day basis, their policy internally changes. So that way they can kind of, suspend so-and-so. I don't know if this is 100% true, but I've heard this may or may not be happening. I don't know 100%, but they don't want everybody to know what their policies were. So that way they can obviously make decisions on the fly behind the scenes. And then they don't really, if they make a mistake, they don't really have to own up to making a specific mistake. Right. Because it's just an internal policy. And a lot of this was happening back when, especially when, COVID started and then the vaccines came out, and then, a lot of people were like, vaccine hesitant or whatever it was. And a lot of people were talking about it. And then YouTube was like, well, we don't really want people to talk about this, but we're not going to make a specific policy about it. But we're just going to either demonetize your videos or demonetize your entire channel in the process if you do happen to talk about vaccines. So it's just kind of how it works, right? But yeah, I agree with you. I wish that they would make it a little bit more specific in certain respects, like what happened to you, right?
Yeah.
Like, how are you supposed to protect yourself from this happening now and in the future?
Yeah.
It was obviously somebody was doing something malicious to you.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Well, so what detail can you give us? What happened?
So someone bought in my channel. So basically someone like bought views or yeah,
okay.
I think it was views because I don't have anything else that shows me. My analytics show that I had so the victim story one, right? And that video I was saying earlier, that one was like in the beginning was like my most viewed video on my channel.
Yeah.
And when I was looking through my analytics after I got demonetized, I looked through my analytics and I found that there was a big spike coming from Russia over like a 1 week period, and the video was an hour long and the average view time was 19 seconds on like a long video. And I was like, what the heck? So I brought that up to YouTube in my appeal.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I noticed this, because they ask you in the appeal form, like, what are you going to change? How are you going to protect yourself? You know, what steps are you going to be taking? Right. And so I brought this up. I'm like, hey, like, I'll be more vigilant on like where my views are coming from, and like, you make sure like, it's not embedded in any sites that don't need to be embedded. I'm like, I don't really know how to do that because you guys don't teach us like anything like that, right? How are you supposed to protect yourself from that, right? And you can't prove that it wasn't you because, well, they're not going to believe you. They just see it as like invalid traffic. And so I even, like I said, I made a video and I sent the link in my appeal. It's an unlisted video, has 0 views. No one's clicked on it. So I know no one's seeing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Things like that kind of irks me, right? Because it's like, oh no, we denied your appeal again, but you didn't even look at it.
Yeah, you obviously had an explanation,
Yeah.
and they decided not even to glance at it. So what I'm going to do, or what I've already kind of started, is because I have a new partner manager for YouTube, which I'm very fortunate to have because I guess when you reach a certain amount of subscribers, YouTube tries to actually take care of you a little bit more, which I do appreciate, right? Yeah. Like I had an actual video call, and the lady was wonderful and went through a lot of like my questions, and then was like, we'll have further discussions in the future. Just email me any issues you have. So in that email, among my own personal issues on YouTube, I also included a section about yours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this video unlisted because this will be up probably in like 2.5 weeks, whatever. So I'm going to send her the link to it. That way she can see it, and then hopefully direct you to somebody to at least communicate directly with you. So we'll see if we can do anything. She might not be able to do anything because she maybe can only deal with me. I don't know. But so we'll see how that works out. But I wish you luck, man.
Thanks, man.
It's like pretty fucked up that they would do something like that. And it's pretty obvious what happened too. Like somebody obviously had it out for you for one reason or another, and decided to send a bunch of random robots to watch your videos. And they were like, I think you were explaining that they were like clicking your ads or something, right?
And it was weird because if they actually looked through my analytics, I was making, the way I made my money on YouTube at that time, I only had like, I think like 3,000 or 4,000 subs. I think it was through super chats from live streams, right? I did not rely at all on like ads or AdSense or anything like that. It was strictly like people doing super chats, and I didn't have super thanks yet because they hadn't come out yet, I don't think, for me anyway. Super stickers and super chats, that was it. And then all of a sudden, like, they disable my Google AdSense account, so I can't even go into Google AdSense to see what I can fix. And then all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, your whole channel, I got people messaging me going, hey, my membership is not going through. Like, memberships were huge for me, right? Like, I loved having memberships, and then that was taken away. Everything was taken away. I'm like, I didn't understand, why is everything tied to Google AdSense? I mean, that's a whole other story, and that's probably why they do it, but I didn't rely on Google Ads at all. So I was like, I'm not really sure why demonetize a small channel like 4,000 subs at the time, right? And so I was like, it didn't make any sense, right? And I noticed, like, for that year, like, YouTube stopped pushing my content. I would put out a video, it'd have like 560 views or something, and I was like, wow. I'm like, I worked on that for 8 hours. It's like, that's brutal.
I remember those days. I mean, I never went through like a demonetization phase, but I do remember the days of putting in like 40, 50 hours worth of work into one video for it to get like 2 views, right? But it is what it is. Well, hopefully we'll be able to do something. I don't know, no promises.
I appreciate that, man.
But it's worth a try, right? I mean, we constantly keep retweeting. I'm always retweeting your stuff on Twitter whenever you're complaining about it, because it's pretty obvious that it's unfair, right?
It's not just me too. Like, you see so many people who that happens to.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, YouTube is great on Twitter, like or X. They're great on there at replying. Like Team YouTube is great on there at replying, but it's like after that, it's like the
it
process.
Doesn't go further.
Yeah, once you go through the appeal, or they don't even give me the option to a video appeal. I'm like, I would love to do a video appeal so that you guys could see what I'm seeing, right? And like, tell me how do I fix any of that stuff, right? So it's kind of, and I can't say like it was me, because it wasn't me. I don't click on my own ads.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's actually a creator who he's got a really big channel who made a video specifically clicking on his own ads.
Yeah, and nothing happened to him, right?
No. So I'm like, wow, it's crazy.
That you're not supposed to do. That's obviously against TOS, terms of service. So don't be clicking on your own freaking ads as a YouTuber.
It's just like, I'm clicking on every ad on my channel, so you don't have to. I'm like,
what? Why would you do that?
Wow.
Because that's not obvious at all, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, what's in store for the future for you? What do you think's next?
So I'm on the cusp of going to the States. We're going to be doing the People's Call Center.
Nice.
So the People's Call Center is scam baiters from throughout different parts of the world. We gather in one place and we call scammers from there, all different skills.
Wow.
It's like a convention conference kind of thing.
Man.
So it's super cool. We did the first one last year at Scammer Payback's office, and we're back again doing round 2. And so I'm grateful to have been invited back, and hopefully, last year we saved a few victims. We were able to help them get their money back.
Wow.
Right. So hopefully we're going to be able to do a lot more of that, and monitor scammers and watch kind of what they're doing and all that kind of stuff, and work more closer with law enforcement to really make that happen. I really wish that there is some way that we could be taken a little bit more serious. They just look at us as like, oh, you're just pranksters, right? It's like, yeah, but we're getting information that you guys don't have, right? We're passing on this information to you so that you can do something about it. But it's because maybe is it the means that we're doing it that you don't like? Who cares? We're getting you the information that you need.
That's right.
Right? And we're trying to like,
you're the detective. You're doing the detective work for them.
But that could rub some law enforcement the wrong way, right? It's like, oh, you think you're a detective? I had to go to school for this. It's like, I had to work my way up.
I don't care.
And it's like, okay, regardless of that, like, we have information, right? Like, help us protect people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what your job is, to serve and protect. Okay, let's do that together.
That's right.
Right? So, that's kind of like the route that that's kind of like the route that I want to go down, right? Is just really focus on like protecting people as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly. You want to have a kind of a positive effect on the community and the environment, and I think you guys are on the right track. I'm noticing that like over the years since you started and all that stuff, that the community's like grown like massively. There's a lot of like, especially the very big channels, and hopefully they may have a very positive impact. And even just talking with you, it's pretty obvious like why you do this, because you actually know, you realize that it's actually making a difference in the world. Maybe it's one person at a time that you might be saving, even if it's $10, you did something, right? So I think that's really, really good. Do you think that the community is going to kind of continue to grow at the pace it's growing at right now?
I mean, I think when COVID happened, a lot of people were like, okay, I'm gonna start scam baiting. I'm gonna be
they had more time.
Yeah, they had more time. So there was a massive spike in scam baiters at that point.
That's fantastic.
Which is great.
I'm glad there was some positive effect from COVID. Right?
Yeah, we want more. There's more people protecting more people. Right.
Exactly.
And ultimately, like that's ideal. That's great. Like one person can only do so much, right? But like together as a team, like we could do much, much more. Yeah. And so that was great. I hope it keeps growing. I hope it does keep growing. There's always like the ego checks that have to happen, because one person's been around longer, so they think they are owed things, or some think I'm the best at doing this,
they're
and the best
alpha,
at doing that.
It shouldn't matter.
Yeah. Pull your pants back up, right? Like the most important thing here is like, let's all protect people, and we do it all different ways. There's people who like, they do call flooding, right? Which is where they find a scammer number and then they just hammer it with like a bunch of phone calls, right? Which in some places it's illegal to do. But these guys look at it as like, who cares? They're scammers. I'm gonna do that, and like hopefully their number gets shut down, right? So there's people who do that. There's people who do the waste of time, right? Just try to carry a long conversation with a scammer. That means they're not on the phone with a potential victim, right? And that's their style. And there's people who literally are able to get into a scammer's computer and, some people delete the files. I personally don't do that, right? They delete whatever's on the scammer's computer. I'm like, you're deleting evidence of, a crime.
That's a good point.
I'm like, maybe download it first, then delete it. I don't know. I don't know what the right way to do that is, right? But I don't sit there and say you're doing it wrong. That's the wrong way, the wrong thing to do. You know what I mean? Like everyone has their own flavor and style to it, and so kudos to each and every one. That's something scammers say, actually.
Yeah.
Each and every one.
Each and every one.
Each and everything.
Well, I imagine everything's kind of like evolving all the time, like at such a quick pace because there's so much of it. Like it's just been exploding over the years. It's just nonstop. You get all these likely spam calls on your phone all day long, which is so annoying, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think you guys are doing a pretty good thing. How many people are going to this event?
I think there's 14 of us.
Nice.
14?
Yeah, I think that's, it's a increase from last year. Last year where there was about 7 or 8 of us. So it's like doubled.
Yeah.
And dude, the invitations that Scammer Payback sent out were sick.
Can you explain
sick.
How? What they
oh my
did?
gosh! So he sent us like a case.
Scammer Payback is a person?
It's a channel. Yeah.
Okay.
His name Pierogi is the guy behind the Scammer Payback channel.
Okay.
Right. So he sent out. You could probably watch it on his channel. He has he might have had a video. Maybe it was a short or something with that. But he did a invitation. It was like a briefcase. Okay. A briefcase
6 million
where you open it. And it's got like an infinity mirror inside of it.
Ooh.
Right? And inside that infinity mirror, there is an invitation and a USB stick.
Oh, nice.
And you play that USB stick, and
maybe he didn't upload it yet.
I don't know. It's been in like a few different people's videos and stuff like that. Yeah. And if you go to Trilogy Media, they just put
those are the guys that I've seen before. I know who you're talking about now. Trilogy.
Those guys are hilarious.
Media.
So they did one. If you just click on their channel, it might have been a short
it's time.
Or it might have been. You know what?
Oh yeah, I remember this guy.
It might have been.
I just don't want to get copyrighted.
Yeah.
So
it might. You know what? It might have been a members only thing.
Okay.
So, anyways, the case is sick, right? It's a. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a thick case like this. It has his logo on it. You push a little button on it and it changes colors. Right?
Oh, man.
Like, yeah. I have it in my car. I'll show it to you guys after.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
It's
crazy.
dope. Like it's sick. Like you just open it up.
He just brings it everywhere he goes.
So yeah, and you open it up and it's got like an infinity mirror, right, with like lights inside. And it's pretty sweet.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
It sounds like they actually like went all out.
Yeah, this is crazy
For 14 people, damn.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So you guys all basically got the same thing, more or less, right?
Yeah,
that's cool.
So he mailed them all out before we go, and then like we go, and then we stay at wherever we stay.
Yeah.
Some people stay at Airbnbs, like I'm staying at a hotel.
Yeah.
And then we just get to his office on a daily basis, and there's like, here's what we're doing today. Right. And so like you can stream, like we're all allowed to stream like at the same time. Right. Which is a super cool like experience as well. Right.
Yeah.
So
that's cool because it's technically like a collab. Right. Yeah. And you get experience in person because you probably watch a lot of these guys' videos, content, or whatever, and you try and learn from them. They're trying to learn from you, which is really kind of cool because you're like collaborating with everybody's different style of doing things and learning how this person functions, this person does this, and that is a very interesting experience. I like the way they did that, so I hope you have a lot of fun.
I'm hoping so too.
Yeah.
It was fun last year, so
last year, how did you get money back for people? What happened?
Yeah, so Scammer Payback created this. He created like a fund.
Okay.
Through his channel memberships, and basically it was. I don't want to say it was like a GoFundMe, but basically it was like that. And then what he did is and obviously used like a lot of the money that he makes on his own as well. And so when we had heard that someone had been scammed, let's say they were scammed for $2,000. If someone was scammed for $40,000, he wasn't gonna say, "Here's a check for 40 grand."
Yeah.
Right. But he would help somewhat, right? Restore some of it.
Right.
And so he was like, anything that's like this range, like we tell him we can like send him a check.
Wow.
Right. And so it was like doing things like that. And so people were like super grateful.
Yeah.
Just helping people be whole.
That's incredible.
There's a shame, there's a guilt, there's all this, when you become a victim of a crime like that you just don't want to talk about. You feel like you can't trust anybody ever again. And so it's like, we're just trying to, make it so that people can get back to being mentally healthy again in that sense. So
makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I don't know anybody who's lost money to a scam per se. Do you?
I've heard of, but not.
I mean, I've heard of a lot of people like you just mentioned. There was somebody who lost $500,000, right? And then I know people who've obviously been involved in like these romance. Actually, no, sorry, I do know somebody, Joe. I forgot about him.
Oh yeah,
my neighbor Joe. He's passed on, but fortunately, it was the same thing for him. He was, I think. And I didn't know about it. Otherwise, I would have probably mentioned like, hey, that's you're dealing with a scam. But it was like one of those notorious the military people scam.
Yeah.
So they're always somewhere. So they pretend that you want to explain what the military person scam is.
It's basically the same thing. It's like was it a romance scam for them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, they're overseas. Right, they've been they got enlisted and they were sent overseas, and now they're stuck overseas. And the government is not is tying up their money, and they won't have the funds ready until a certain time. They need a little bit of help just to kind of get through and be able to eat or that kind of thing. So they start with small amounts.
Okay.
And then it's like, my pension is supposed to be coming through, but I have to actually provide them with like a thing that shows that I'm able to receive money, that I'm responsible with money. I don't have any money at the moment, so I need like $5,000, that I could deposit into my bank account and show them that, hey, I'm able to receive this money.
Oh, wow.
So little things like that, like they'll say, when I say little things, I mean like there's different tactics that each scammer will use, but it's kind of like in the same ballpark of like, I need you to send me some money so that I can then do something. Right? I can get home. I can take this medication. I can, that kind of thing. And I'm not allowed to discuss any of my mission and stuff because it's government. It's, it's highly classified information. Right?
It's confidential. It involves aliens.
Yeah.
This is totally off topic, but apparently the White House is now admitting that aliens exist. Did you hear about that?
Bro, I saw a UFO once. So
did you really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now I need to know.
I ain't BSing this either.
Tell
us the story.
Okay. So what happened was, I was a kid, right? And we were doing some nefarious things. From my balcony, we had a slingshot. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. And so we're there and we're reloading, and it was me and my buddy, and I had another buddy who he'd just gone to the bathroom, and so we go to reload, and when we look up, we see this thing in the sky, bro. I kid you not. Okay. It just showed up. I don't remember exactly the color changing that happened, but it hovered. Right. It hovered.
It almost came to a stop.
It was stopped for a sec.
Oh, really?
It went like this. It kind of hovered, and then it dipped down.
Yeah.
Hovered there, came right back up.
Yeah.
And then hovered there, and then went straight forward, and then just disappeared.
Whoa.
And we just looked at each other and we were like, a UFO! Holy freaking crap! Right? And we started like jumping up and down like we couldn't believe that we saw it. We called the Canadian, whatever it is that you're supposed to report to. I mean, I'm 14. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was 14 or 13, somewhere in there. And they were just like, oh, okay, thank you. Thanks for the report. And then, we looked it up afterwards, and it said something like, oh yeah, it was a comet.
Okay.
Like a comet, just just kind of come down.
Yeah, just
coming,
just
hovering, going down.
I'm like,
going
I've
up.
never seen a comet like go and kind of stop there and go.
That literally makes no sense.
And then go,
Yeah, like
And
I've seen comets and stuff like that, and it just kind of looks like it's like disintegrating but slowly moving through the sky, but like far away. Right. So what you saw, was it like relatively close?
I would say it was ahead of me. I mean, we're on like sixth, seventh, eighth floor, somewhere in
Yeah.
there. So it was a little bit higher than where we were.
Yeah.
But it was, I wouldn't say it was like far off in the distance.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't say that I saw like a clear ship,
Right.
for example, right? There was mostly light, right? Like a glisten, right? So I was like, yeah, that was pretty wild.
That is wild. This was in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's freaking nuts. Yeah, I don't know. We've had a few people on the show so far who all witnessed something weird in the sky, and they can't quite figure out what it is that they're seeing, right? Like, I mean, we had Craig who was describing something that it didn't like. So what you saw kind of like fragmented and disintegrated, and
No,
then
it
just disappeared.
Yeah, it just disappeared. Like it was glistening. Like it glistened.
It was like,
and
okay.
it like it almost like evaporated. Like
Right.
it was like a.
So I would describe it almost like a fragmentation. Like imagine if a mirror smashed into 1,000 pieces and then just blew apart really quickly, like that.
So if something explodes, for example,
Okay.
there's smoke or like other things. No, this thing completely like gone.
Oh wow,
Like it just
that fast.
vanished. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the other guy on the show, he described it as seeing something from one light into 3 lights,
Right.
and then just gone,
Yeah.
just like that. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
This thing was whole. And there was no tail. Like it wasn't like it was pulling something along, right?
Right.
It was
Yeah.
it was like hovering on its own.
That's wild.
So
I want to see something like that. But I mean, could it have been military? But in Toronto,
yeah.
military doesn't really make sense,
No.
right? So unless they're shooting down some Chinese air balloons or something.
No, this
I
was in
have-
the city. This was in the city. So,
Yeah, that's what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make any sense. So I don't know.
But we've got proof. Not proof. We've
sorry,
got
I said comet, right?
confirmation.
They meant
yeah.
sorry, they said meteor. It was a meteor.
Meteor.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess almost the same
Yeah.
similar.
I don't
concept,
again, same.
right?
I don't
Yeah.
see meteors
Yeah,
going
exactly.
like, hey, let me go like this.
Yeah, they don't move in like weird jagged
Yeah.
motions, right? So, and I mean, unless it was some weird kind of trick on your eyes, then that really doesn't make any freaking sense whatsoever.
And it changed colors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like again, I don't remember the exact color
Yeah.
sequence that it was, but it was going from like color to color, hovering, and then kind of thing. So
It's so weird.
So what came out about the aliens? The one thing that I saw today that I shared today, you know Blink-182.
Yeah.
Tom from Blink-182,
Yeah.
he's always talking about aliens, and
Yeah.
they wrote a song called Aliens Exist. So
Okay.
today in Toronto, Amazon Music Canada or whatever, made a digital billboard and said Tom was right, and then aliens exist or whatever,
Okay.
based on what the things that
I don't know. It
came
seems
out.
to me that a lot of the stuff that they're coming out with about is just very good timing for things that are happening politically.
ooh, like what?
Almost like a distraction. I think the main thing was about Hunter Biden. I think he was there was something in Congress happening. I don't know. I didn't have time. I was so freaking busy this week. I didn't have time to really pay attention to all that stuff, but I just kind of heard a little bit of tidbits here and there about certain stuff. And it was just kind of funny how all of a sudden this press conference was happening at the exact same time that the crackhead son of the president of the United States is suddenly getting indicted, or, you know, they're talking about investigating in Congress about very good timing, isn't it?
yeah.
I'd say. But yeah, I don't know. It was something to do with taxes and money laundering, of course,
Yeah.
right? Because the Bidens are just basically a bunch of scammers at the end of the day. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's just the way they were kind of responding about it. They're like, yeah, we found. They were just very vague. Like their answers could have literally been just about anything, right? Like, yes, we found a living organism on an unidentified flying object.
Oh, right.
But it's like that organism, like they didn't specify, like that organism could have literally been a leaf, right? Or like a drop of water, like they landed in water, and then yes, we found organisms, but really it was just, you know, organisms that were living in the lake that the object flew into. So it's like, what are you talking about? Like, you need to be a little more specific. But it seems like they were just kind of making it up just to kind of get people riled up and going, because they need a distraction from certain things that are happening right now, among many other things that are happening in the world. But yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. So you're still into wrestling?
Yeah.
Yeah, big
It's a
time.
wrestling shirt, man.
Yeah. Is that what that
Is
is?
this?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
LA Knight. Yeah.
What
That's
is
it is.
that? What is that?
It's a wrestler.
Oh, okay. Like
got
a
it.
modern current wrestler. I
Yeah,
used
yeah.
to be really into wrestling when I was a kid. That's actually, so a lot of people, if you were to ask me when I was a kid what I wanted to be when I grew up, it was a wrestler. Like I
Okay,
literally
yeah.
wanted to be a pro wrestler.
Me too.
But I didn't have the athleticism for it, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I mean, I had the athleticism. I just
Yeah.
didn't have the height.
Yeah.
And my muscles are way too big. So I just, because I don't want to put anyone to shame. So I
Yeah.
just said, you know what? I'm just going to go a
Yeah.
different
If
route.
he were to really flex, you would have needed like 4 cameras just to capture that. So.
But not all wrestlers are very big.
No.
Can I say the beginning of a tagline, and I think you're gonna end it for me, knowing who this is?
Sure.
Booyaka, booyaka, 619. Booyaka, booyaka. Rey Mysterio.
And then it
That
goes,
was my favorite.
Ya llegó el Rey Misterio, Pato Cabrón de San
Oh my
Diego,
God.
flash up on the screen like a brown crusader. Yeah, I know that song.
You know it.
Yeah.
He was my favorite wrestler to watch. It back
Too
in
much
the day.
damage
Really?
for one to manage.
That's funny.
Rey Mysterio. Jr. He was like all up in the air and everything
Oh,
with the
yeah,
flashy
man. He was
stuff, the
freaking
mask.
cool.
Super cool.
Yeah, man.
His son is now in wrestling.
Is
oh
he?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does
Rey
he kind of
Mysterio,
have like the
JJ?
same style? Does he wear a
Junior?
mask too?
No, he doesn't wear a mask. They're feuding actually.
Uh-uh.
Yeah, they had
Wait,
beef.
father and
they had
son?
Beef. Yeah, they had
Oh,
beef.
boy.
Yeah. This kid, his poor kid,
Yeah.
gets booed the most. Some of the most loud, like the loudest boos I've ever heard in a wrestling show.
That's
Like,
hilarious.
yeah.
Oh
It's
my God.
So jokes.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to be into like Stone Cold Steve Austin just because he was such a badass,
Yeah.
right? And he used to drink beer, kind of like me. I didn't drink beer back then, but maybe that's what motivated me to become an avid beer drinker. The Rock, obviously,
Yeah.
was pretty sick. The Hardy Boys,
Yeah.
like that was the whole era that I kind of grew up in. And it's funny, I've never told this story online before, but when me and my cousins were younger, we used to spend a lot of time with each other, and we had our own. I don't even remember what our freaking so we created a tag team essentially, right? I'm sure you've probably done it with your siblings.
I do, but yeah. Anyways, I didn't live with my siblings, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But like any relatives, like cousins or whatever
Yeah.
that you grew up with,
Yeah.
were you all into wrestling?
Yeah, a lot of us were. Yeah.
Okay, so you probably did the same thing. You created like your own little tag team or whatever,
Well,
or was I the only one?
Well, when I was in grade 4,
Yeah.
I created a team.
Okay.
With my group of friends.
Right.
We were either fans of one wrestler, and then the other group was fans of the other wrestler. So
Yeah.
we would like have like beef with each other.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's hilarious. But yeah, so when I was growing up, I think we called ourselves the Wild something. I don't remember what it was, but it was around like, I don't remember. It was like just after WWF turned into WWE.
Okay.
So it was me and my 3 cousins. We were 3 boys and 1 girl. And because she was the smallest one and she was super light, she always wanted to be involved, and we would like end up like power bombing her and doing all this stuff because she was so tiny, right? That you
Don't
could just,
try this at home.
yeah, definitely don't do it at home. But yeah, I mean, we never did it like intentionally to hurt somebody. It was just like, you know, on a couch or bed or whatever. But yeah, I even remember like when we were younger, we were always wrestling. We would do what do you call it? Like when you put the belts and you strap it to the top. What was that called? Like
ladder match.
Ladder match, yeah. So you do the we would do that in the basement, and because we had these pot lights, but they were never installed properly. So for like 10 years in my basement growing up in this house, we had these hanging lights. So we would strap like the fake belt to it, and we would have like my grandmother's like folding like little ladder, like step ladder. It was like literally like 2 or 3 steps or whatever. It would be like slowly going up, because as you know, going up 2 steps takes forever to go and catch this stupid thing at the top there. But yeah, we did all sorts of stuff like that when we were younger. We were nuts. Our parents hated it because we were always either constantly breaking things or breaking each other at the end of the day, slamming each other's faces into the ground accidentally, of course. That I've lost a few teeth when I was younger doing that. But yeah, that was my childhood growing up.
Yeah, I still like to incorporate a lot of like, if you watch my videos, in my background I have all my like a lot of my wrestling toys and like
That's
wrestling
what I've
masks and
noticed,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
My Money in the Bank
mask,
briefcase.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like your whole studio's like that.
yeah, I have.
Let me see if I can find
yeah, I
it.
have. I'm a fan, man.
Yeah.
Man, I love it when people say, "You know, it's fake, right?" And I'm like, "Wow,
It's not, though.
Wait, and Spider-Man is real?
Right?
Unbelievable. I did not know
What
that.
do you mean?
Like, is it scripted? Yeah, it's scripted.
It's scripted,
but
yeah,
They,
but they get hurt.
yeah, and they don't.
yeah.
They, you know, they're not like actors where they have to do a second take, right? Like, hey, let's do a retake. I mean, sometimes that happens, but it's really rare, right? And it's mostly like on the fly, right? Like stunt doubles, they don't have stunt doubles, right? So it's like, so, but
promise that I would.
Yeah, like you can see in the back of this video what we're talking about. He's got like all these little props, kind of hard to see because of the lighting, but you can see literally all the
all those are 80s wrestlers.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
like the rubber legs and
back
like,
when it was actually
yeah.
Here you can see
not
it
like how they make
better.
them now. They're
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Thank you, ladies, for the help.
Yeah, thank you, ladies. Yeah, so you got the money bank thing.
I've got some like AEW stuff now. So AEW is a different company.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good times, man.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Thank you so much.
Or not coming by. Sorry. Thanks for allowing me to bring you into my car and bring you over to the studio.
So thanks for hitchhiking today.
Yeah. So I have a rule when I hitchhike.
Yeah.
And that is, if the person is not wearing the hat of a team that I like, I'm not getting in the car. So I like the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Nice.
My wife is from out east, and so is Sidney Crosby, and they went to rival high schools. And they
wow.
She doesn't really like that I like the Penguins,
right?
So this is to rub it in your face to my wife, right? So that's why I said, yeah, you know what? Hey, man, can you give me a ride? And you're like, hey, we're just going to the studio. And I said, can I come with? Can I be a guest? And you were like, sure. So here we are. So I appreciate it, man.
Worked out perfectly.
Yeah. So people ask me all the time. They're like, "Oh, are you a fan of the Pittsburgh Penguins?" I'm like, I'm more of a fan of the city. Like I like Pittsburgh, the city, and just the hat was really sick. I went to Dick's Sporting Goods one day, and I'm just like, dude, that's a sick hat. I gotta buy that. So I just bought it, and I literally own like 2 hats. So I have a bunch of other ones. So, and 2 of the other ones that I own, by chance, Moshi gave both of them to me. Unfortunately, did I ever tell you what happened to the camo Nirvana one that I had?
No.
Okay, so I feel really bad, but because I love that.
It was I think it was a birthday present for you. I think
it was, yeah. So what happened, and I'm really, really sorry, but so we were in San Antonio, Texas, and I think I was changing because I had got really hot, so I was like taking my sweater off, whatever, and I took my hat off and put it on the top of the car for some odd reason. Took my sweater off, and then I guess I didn't think about it and drove away. And like half an hour later, I'm like, where's my hat? And then I'm like, oh no. Yeah, it's probably still to this day sitting in this parking garage in San Antonio, Texas. And
and it's camo, so no one's ever going to see it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to blend right in, right? But yeah, so that's pretty much it. And then the black hat, that it just got old and faded. So, and then there was the other one that you got me recently,
another camo hat. Or
there was another camo hat. For some reason, you always get me camo hats.
It's on brand for the exploring,
I guess, but
it does make sense.
The only issue is I find it like it fits weird. That's like I would never wear it now, and that's probably why most of the time I don't. Sometimes I do during the day, but I can't wear it if it's cold. Because if I'm wearing a sweater and I go outside, I have a habit of putting my hood over and I can't fit it properly. It's like
it's
big,
one of the
like,
wide
bulge.
ones.
So, and it's like super awkward. And then here, forget it. There's no way I'm going to wear that with, headphones over top. So, but yeah, again, thank you for coming out. Everybody go and check out DEYOCLUB on YouTube. I will leave the link down in the description below for everybody here, including myself, including Moshi. And, that's pretty much it. Smash that like button and subscribe if you're new. Turn those notifications on so you get a notification, hopefully. Sometimes YouTube does, sometimes YouTube doesn't. They're kind of, menopausal about that. But that's pretty much it. Again, thanks for coming by.
Thanks.
Good night.